Hello students, we are going to take some notes and get some practice on tax, tip, and discount. If you will take your red paper and fold it as follows. Okay, please fill in the notes as we go. A markdown is a discount. Those of us who like to shop love to find markdowns and discounts on items. So a markdown is an amount that is subtracted, from the regular price of an item or from the original price of an item. And in order to get the discount, you take the price and you multiply it times the discount rate. But then to get the total cost, you are going to take the price, then take the price and subtract the discount. We'll look at it at an example in a moment. A gratuity markup, for example, if you go to the hairdresser and get your hair cut, it is a very good idea to leave the hairdresser a tip. Or if you go out and eat at a restaurant, leaving a tip for the waiter or waitress. A gratuity markup would be an amount added to a bill for service. And to find the tip, you take the amount of the bill and you multiply it times the tip rate. And then finally, to get the total cost, you take the price of the bill and you add the tip to that. For sales tax, it is an amount added to the price of an item. When we go to a store and we see a shirt we want and it's $20, we know that shirt is going to cost us more than $20 because of the tax. To find the sales tax, you take the price and you multiply it by the sales tax rate. In Walton County, I believe it's 7%. But then to find the total cost, you have to take the price and add the sales tax to that. You may pause this video at any time if needed. Okay, and moving, let's take a look at the examples. For example 1, it says a music store sign reads 12% off the regular price. If Nicole wants to buy a CD whose regular price is $14.99, how much will she pay for her CD after the discount? So if you flip back up to your notes to get that markdown, we're going to have to take the price of the CD, which is $14.99, and we are going to multiply that times the discount. Well, the discount is 12%. Remember, we need to change that to a decimal, so times 0.12, and then when you multiply that out on your calculator, you get $14.99 times 0.12, which gives you 1.7988. Now, remember, we're talking dollars and cents, so we need to round that to the nearest cent. We're going to have to round that up, and our our discount would be $1.80. DISCOUNT. So now to find, but that she's not going to pay $1.80 for the CD, but we have to go back to the regular price. She would be excited if she could, but then we subtract the $1.80. So we take $14.99 minus $1.80, and that CD is going to cost Nicole $13.19. This last step here is a step that students often forget. Remember, it doesn't make sense or it's not reasonable that you would buy a $15 CD for $1.80. Is it possible? Yes, but not likely. Okay, let's look at the next example. For example 2, for gratuity and markups, says, at a restaurant, you order a meal and a beverage that together cost $14. You leave a 20% tip and the sales tax is 6%. What is the total cost of the meal? Typically, when you determine how much tip you're going to leave, you generally base it on $14. So let's take a look at that. Wait a minute. Let me pause. Okay, so you're going to leave a 20% tip, but when the waiter brings you the bill, the waiter is going to have the cost of the meal, and he is going to go ahead and add the tax to that amount and give you a total. Then, based on that total, you leave your tip. So let's let's add on the tax of the meal. If we take the $14 meal and we add on the tax of 6%, we are going to have to take $14 times 0.06, and that gives us, and you can punch this in your calculators, that gives us 84 cents. So this is the tax on the meal. So we're going to add that $14. We're going to add in the 84 cents for the tax. And now our meal is $14.84. Now let's take a look at the tip. To get the tip, we're going to take the price of the meal, $14.84, and we're going to leave a 20% tip. So remember, change that to a decimal, which is 0.2 or 0.20, and we multiply the cost of the meal, which is $14.84, and we multiply that times 20%, and we get 2.968, or if we remember, we're talking dollars and cents, so we're going to round that up to $2.97 for the tip. Now, you're not going to just pay $2.97 for the tip. You are going to take the cost of the meal with the tax, $14.84, and add the $2.97, and then your total cost is, let's see, 14.84. We add $2.97. Your total cost for that meal is $17.81. Okay, now let's look at example 3, and we are just going to look at sales tax in this example. It says Mark is buying a scooter for $79.65. The sales tax rate is 6%. What will the total cost of the scooter be? So the cost of the scooter is $79.65, and if you look back at your notes for sales tax, to find that, you take the price and you multiply it times the sales tax rate. Once again, don't forget you have to write this as a decimal, so $79.65 times 0.06. If you'll take a minute, punch that in your calculator. And that gives us 4.779. Let me just double check myself. And again, we're dealing with dollars and cents, so we're going to have to round that up 5 or more, raise the score to $4.78 would be your tax. So if the question said how much tax will he have to pay, we would say $4.78, but the question says what's the total cost. So to get the total cost of the scooter, $79.65 is the original amount. We add to that $4.78, and we get $4.78 plus $79.65, and the total cost of the scooter is $84.43. Thank you very much.